From the station that made country music famous, 650 AM WSM, this is a Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Hey, it's Charlie Matos, and welcome to our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. What a fun morning it was with Jeff Carson in studio. This was recorded January the 25th of 2022. Jeff back doing some shows. He had a gig in town that we would chat about, but we would share some wonderful memories of really big hits in the career of Jeff Carson and let you know what he is doing now. Quite a career change for Officer Jeff Carson of the Franklin Police Department. Enjoy our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast with Jeff Carson.
Coffee, Country, and Cody.
As we welcome, I can't believe it, man. Jeff Carson is here, looking into that smiling face.
Hooray, man. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you again, Bill.
I mean, one of my longest friends in this town. When I came to town in 1994, baby, you were on fire.
I was, wasn't I? What the hell happened?
Now, be honest, there's a warrant out for his arrest, and you're actually going to handcuff him as we get out of here, right?
But there's a story with this man, and I can't wait to share it for those of you who may not know the story of Jeff after his music career, and his music career continues. As a matter of fact, he's at the Hardison Mill Homestead Hall coming up Saturday, right?
Saturday night, yes. Rory Feek's place out there.
You know, I looked it up. It says the hall at Hardison Mill began in 2005 as a 40 by 70 barn where Joy and Rory Feek stored mowers and tractors.
Wow.
Then became a soundstage to film their weekly television show and ultimately a concert and private venue and soundstage.
I went on YouTube. I haven't been out there to the farm yet. I went on YouTube and saw, man, that place looks awesome, man. Just the farm itself, just where it's located, and the barn and the stage and it's just going to be so fun. I love seeing those types of venues, the smaller, kind of more intimate venues like that.
He when he has checked in with us via Zoom during the course of quarantine, the pandemic, and the distance to come into town, he's in the milking parlor. Remember, Charlie? He had renovated the milking parlor.
True, yeah. His office and studio set up there. Yeah.
So it is the real deal, but it's Hardison Mill Homestead Hall, Columbia, on Saturday night. What time you go on?
I think 7:30.
Okay.
It's early, so you can still come out and see a show and still get home in bed in time.
I'm curious, in addition to the fact that you and I have such a long friendship, when you walk into the Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center, was it the first venue you played?
It was, yeah. I moved here, let's see, 89, I guess, and it's strange how I got into it. My wife went to school in Texas with a girl she knew moved here to Nashville, so she called her to say hi and found out that she and her husband, Ken and Barb Isham, were playing here at the hotel on a regular basis as a duo, and they just started looking for a bass player singer, and that's what I came from Branson doing. So I'm fortunate enough to step right in with them. I played every club in here, the Cascades and the Pick and Parlor and the Stage Door and the Jack Daniels Saloon. So I know this place well, even though I will tell you I got lost coming in here this morning. I took a wrong route, man. It's changing every time I come out here, getting bigger and better.
The Stage Door was the original home of Nashville Now.
I didn't know that.
It's the first time I ever met Ralph Emery. We had come here with at that time we had one child, our youngest, our oldest, he was our only child at the time, but our oldest, Luke, to Opryland Theme Park. And so Closed Circuit had TNN on it as you're surfing through the channels. Right. It was like, wait a minute, they're rehearsing. That's Ralph Emery. There's Michael Martin Murphy.
Wow.
And it's the first time I met him in person, had a chance to meet Michael, whom I adored, and to meet Ralph, whom I adored, obviously.
It's when I did Ralph Emery's show one time, and it was actually here in the Cascade lobby. Not the lobby, but in the Cascade area. And for some reason, just that one time that I recall, and I got to be on this show there, and I still pinched myself to this day because I sat with Ralph Emery on one side and Ray Price on the other.
Oh.
And to this day, I haven't seen one picture of that. You know, nobody had cameras or,
it's bound to exist
cameras.
Somewhere, though.
I wish I could have one.
Surely the crew, somebody on the crew was shooting
you'd think.
it. Yeah. Well, people know you for the car. That comes to mind. They love that song. Yeah. But the biggest song you had in your career was a song called Not On Your Love.
Yeah, it was actually number one on all the charts in 95. So it was quite a blessing to have that song.
What was the first big thing you went out and bought? So you've been struggling for, 5 or 6 years, right?
Yeah, I really did. I wasn't extravagant. Although a bus, but that was a necessity. It wasn't a necessity to travel, but we thought in our heads, hey, to save money, we'll buy a bus and not lease it, and we can save it. But yeah, it's a money pit, man. It was.
Did you buy someone else's bus?
No, we bought it new.
Oh,
We bought it
okay.
new from Prevost, and they came down from up north and had a company here build it. And as soon as they gave it to us, they went bankrupt. So anything that we had go wrong with it, which was a lot, we had no recourse.
Yeah, you hear these stories about, like Charlie Maddle said, well, I got Ray Price's old bus, or I got to sleep at the wheel's old bus. And it was, these buses have been passed down along with all the
Man,
problems.
those walls could talk, right?
Now I know why it was for sale.
They are money pits, man. I'm getting a little podcast together, and the thing I'm starting out with is road stories, and one of the stories about that is the mishaps with all these buses. I remember being on the West Coast. The only bus that we could find to rent at the time was an old Eagle. And that thing, it was just the air conditioning went out, and this happened and that happened. We were coming back this direction, we still had a few shows to do, and the windshield on the passenger side, it's kind of weird because you would think the windshield would push in toward the passengers, but the way the air flows through it, it kept wanting to push out. So this windshield, so we finally pull off the road. Luckily, Boz Skaggs' empty bus, his driver came up behind us to help us out, and we just paid him. So, hey, can you finish the rest of this with us? So we had an air-conditioned bus from that point on. Living high in the hog.
With a windshield that stayed in place.
Oh, yeah. This driver, bless his heart, he was just working best with what he was handed, and he was like getting out the big roll of duct tape when we left.
Well, you could have covered Lido Shuffle for the rest of
That's
the tour.
right,
So
we
thank
could.
you, right?
Oh, we were singing
thank you
in
to
our
Boz, right?
Who wrote Not On Your Life?
Troy Martin, Tony Martin, and Reese Wilson, who passed away a couple years ago. Yeah. Great songwriters. I actually sang the demo for them when I was a demo singer.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I came out of the vocal booth, and I remember coming to the console where they were sitting and I said, guys, if I ever get a record deal, I want to cut this song. And it worked out.
And Curb was your first, is that right?
Curb, yeah, MCG Curb. It was headed out by Carson Schreiber out in L.A. Mm-hmm. And after the first album, then they folded that up and put me back on the regular Curb.
That's Jeff Carson, if you just joined us. You're on 650 AM WSM, and he's going to play live for us this morning and get caught up on his years in law enforcement, that part of his life, which is extraordinary, too. Hardison Mill, Homestead Hall, Columbia. He's playing there Saturday night.
We both said some things we don't really mean. Sometimes love can be like that, and right now they hurt.
This is WSM's Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus? Or in awe of you be still? Will I stand in your presence? Or to my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine.
Bart Millard is waking up somewhere this morning and hearing that from Mercy Me and going, I love it. It's not us. Who is it?
Who dat?
That's Jeff Carson. I was so happy when you cut that because nobody in country music had done a cover, if you will, and country music was not going to play contemporary Christian, so we do now. We just had them at the Opry.
Just one of those songs that just, man, it touches me. I touched a lot of people. Mercy Me, they of course had the original and they did it, but it was an honor just to cover it.
Well, Jeff is here with us in studio this morning. He's going to play live in just a little bit. How did at what point, or maybe throughout your young life, as a kid in Oklahoma and Arkansas, did you have an interest in law enforcement?
It probably goes back as third grade. I remember the teacher going around to everyone in the room asking what we wanted to be when we grew up. And when it came to me, I said, a police officer. So I didn't have any musical at that point. I think I may have played with my grandma's harmonica every now and then. But
was law enforcement in your family's background, or
no,
somebody in the community influence you?
No, I no one to influence me. It's just something I always was interested in doing. And after I guess it was probably 2004 when I had to do one of the hardest things ever I've done, and that's I had a newborn son. I had to get a job. I couldn't make music and make a living with that anymore. So I had to walk away from music, and I, in 2008, became a police officer. At the tender age of 44, went to the academy and managed to live through that. So, I've been doing that for 14 years now.
So how much tougher was that at 44 than maybe at 24? Or was
really,
it not that bad?
Really
is it like basic training when you think of it?
I guess. I've never been in the military, but I assume. It's probably, of course, it's watered down, I'm sure, compared to a lot of the other forces. But it was a good training. I enjoyed it. Every morning would get up early for PT. Like I told you guys, I'm an early morning person anyway, so it didn't bother me, and the working out was fine. I enjoyed it.
And you're still on the force in Franklin?
Yeah, been there 14 years now. Yeah, but man, I miss music.
Well, you're back at it.
I am.
Did you completely step away once you walked away for a period of time?
I did, Bill. I mean, I was jealous of other artists getting to still play music for a living, and a little bit just disenfranchised with everything. I mean, when I say I hung up my guitar, I did. I bet I didn't play a guitar chord for 5 years. I mean, I just...
No kidding.
Yeah, I was just not depressed, but I just really missed playing music for a living.
Well, see how much of this story is true on your backstory.
Uh-oh.
Because I love, sometimes I just pick a paragraph or two off the web, and sometimes it's like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Other times, no, that's not at all how it happened.
Who wrote it?
Born in Tulsa.
Yes.
Raised in Gravette, Arkansas.
Right.
In his childhood, he played harmonica and guitar and sang in church.
Correct.
In high school, he and some friends formed a band.
Wasn't a band. It was just me on guitar. No one else played.
I'm a solo act, people.
Yeah.
I'm Hank Williams Jr. I'm a solo act. You won second place at a local talent show for performing Seven Bridges Road.
That's kind of messed up. Yeah, it was. I sang Seven Bridges Road with these two guys in high school and won a talent contest, second place on that. But I think that one's referring to a second place. I was always coming in second, apparently, at a show I did in Rogers, Arkansas, which led to my first real paying gig. So even though I got second place on the talent show, they offered me a job. So
what was the first paying gigs? What did it pay?
It seemed like $25 a night. Yeah.
And what?
And then right after that show is when I went to work all night at a chicken plant.
What was your job at the chicken
Well,
house?
it was, thank goodness it was, I'm a hot-natured person, and this was all refrigerated. The docks, the freezer guys would bring out these pallets of frozen chicken, and we'd stack them on pallets, however many it took to get them out to where they were going.
After graduating, he moved on to another talent competition held at Rogers, Arkansas.
Yeah.
The winner of that competition then asked Carson to play in his band, which he did for 4 years until the band split up.
Right. That's good.
What was that band called?
Ozark Mountain Music.
Ozark
Yep.
Mountain Music.
It was one of those stage shows, kind of like in Branson. It was just a 2-hour variety show.
Yeah.
The comedian and all that.
And then you go to Branson, and then your wife says, "Hey, big boy,
Yeah.
you should go to Nashville.
I owe
Make
it all
big."
to I owe it all to Kim. Yeah, we were married in '87, and we moved to Nashville in '89. She one that pushed us. We, like I said, we came here knowing no one as far as a job lined up, and it just so happened that our friend was playing out here.
So your child, did you say a son or a daughter? When you
I got a son, a done.
Is how old?
He's 18 now. He's a
I was
senior
getting
in
ready to
high
say,
school.
when you said what year he was born earlier, I thought, he's about to be 20 years old.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Man, time goes fast.
And then Chuck Howard over at Curb signed you back in
He did,
1994.
yeah. He's the one who got me my deal over at Curb. You know, he cut some better than demo quality stuff in the studio and shopped it around. And Mike Curb at Curb was excited about it, so we went there.
How much did demos pay in those days?
$40 a demo.
And how many would you do in a day or in a week?
30 to 40 a week.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I remember my ears always being sore from headphones all the time because I had a Walkman with a tape, and I was learning songs to sing because I always like to show up knowing kind of the melody and the phrasing. And
Right.
so I was always listening to songs, and then I'd go in the studio and put headphones on again. As soon as I finished there, I'd start learning the next. So, yeah, that was the one thing that sticks in my head. My ears always hurt.
Well, that explains the cauliflower ear right there. Jeff Carson, I'd love for you to play and sing this morning.
I'd love to, too.
Got your Takamine guitar there.
Yeah, man.
How long you had that one?
95.
So that's the original.
You can see, yeah, it is. As you can tell, it looks like wormholes in it. You see my signature bottom. About 5-6 years ago, I needed some money, and I sold it. The guy who bought it said, well, sign it for me, and I did. I told him, please let me know if you get rid of it, sell it, because give me first try at it. And he called me a couple years ago and said, yeah, I'm going to sell it to a friend. I knew he'd get away from me if I didn't. So I scraped it up, and I bought it back. And
good for you.
It's a great guitar. I love it. Boy, I'd love to have that car, I whispered to my dad. I always heard a Mustang flies.
Thank you, Jeff Carson.
Thank you, Bill.
And you can see Jeff Saturday night at Hardison Mill Homestead Hall, Columbia, Tennessee. Look it up online. What was your first car as we go to the break?
55 Chevy truck for $400. Pulled it out of some guy's shed.
So the car was a truck. Now you know the rest of the story from Jeff Carson. Love you, brother. Thank you.
Love you, too. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Our program director at WSM Radio is J. Patrick Tinnell. Our digital producer is Haley Hall. Marketing and promotions director is Amanda Cannon. And I'm Charlie Mattos. If you like what you've heard, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review on iTunes. It really does help new people find the show.